Oh, what a big day today. We know Wednesday before Thanksgiving, but really the big primer for a long holiday weekend. In a way, it's a little like a football Friday, Ryan, which is great because it's a Wednesday. We got football all day tomorrow. We got football on Friday and certainly Saturday. Staring down the barrel, Ohio State, Michigan. One of the biggest games, one of the best rivalries in all of sports. And the ultimate thing is, this year is going to look different than any years past. Michigan with their cheating scandal, Harbaugh not on the sidelines. And my biggest thing as a fan, I don't want that to impact the game. I want to be able to sit down on my couch on Saturday at noon and get ready for Ohio State, Michigan for a chance to go to the national championship. For everything that is laid out, you have star players on both sides of the game. It's everything you want. But I don't want the suspension and I don't want the cheating scandal to infect the game. I don't want it to be that way. The question is, will we be able to avoid it? Will that be something that, however it plays out, is that going to be Michigan crying about it Saturday afternoon? Is that something Ohio State's just going to drive in even more if they win? All those questions. But really, all I want is a football game on Saturday for all the marbles, and I think that's what I'm going to get. We'll find out. We'll talk a lot about it right here on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Ryan Tyler. Good morning. A very happy, pseudo Friday for a lot of people out there. It, of course, is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, busiest bar night of the year. Be safe out there tonight. You will not find me anywhere, Ryan, outside of my house past 6:30 tonight. That's just not happening. No way. Those days are long gone behind me. But we are jammed. So we're going to do pretty much our Friday show today. We have the Friday report card. We're going to do a special edition of Ohio State, Michigan on top of Browns, Broncos. There was some divide on each of those that we really kind of questioned, so we'll get to that. We are going to do our NFL picks today. We got Sonny Gupta from Tipico joining us at 10 o'clock. We'll go over his picks, and I got a little wager there for Sonny. If he's game, I got a wager for Sonny, so we'll get to that coming up. But speaking of wagers in Tipico, Ryan. Yeah, nice. Yes, our first show NBA boost. Frankly, not even close, Ryan.
Yeah, it wasn't close.
Killed it. So we got a new thing going here on the show, and I have an idea for our show boost. You want to do all three of the Thanksgiving games tomorrow?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do that. So we have a new thing here with our friends at Tipico. When you sign up, use the code BIGPLAY100. You deposit and bet $25 on anything you want. You get $100 in the bonus bets in your account at Tipico. So again, use that code BIGPLAY100. But we have our show boost. Last night for the Cavs game. Cavs plus 7.5. Easy, nice little win there for the wine and gold. Talk a lot of Cavs this morning. Over under 25.5 points and rebounds for Evan Mobley. He got that in the fourth quarter, and then we had a little mix-up. That it didn't bite us. But we were going to say over under 2.5 threes for Max Strus.
He killed that, Matt.
5, right? They heard Tyrese Maxey finished with 3.
Don't matter.
Don't
It's
matter.
the same.
It cashes. Now, the crazy thing is, I think Maxey had that in the first half or early in the third quarter.
Yeah, he cooked with 2 threes early.
Early. So we cashed. That was a plus 400 boost on our first NBA boost on the show with Tipico. So we're off to a hot start with basketball. We'll turn our attention back to football for the show boost. If anything, just, it's really easy when you go to the Tipico app. You can just search boosts, and ours will come up. It says, Fontana Show Boost, and we cashed that last night. So well done on us, and we'll talk a lot of wine and gold this morning as we talk about that. That was a big win last night. That was a massive win for the Cavs last night. Really happy to see Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, man. They played. I know they got in foul trouble a little bit, but I thought that was their best game as a combo. You didn't have Karis LeVert, and you didn't have Donovan Mitchell, and you beat the 76ers on the road, which was incredible. So a great game for the Cavs last night. So we got a lot lined up for the wine and gold as well. Really heavy football focus today here on the show, though. We start with Ohio State, Michigan, because the ultimate question is, Ryan, now that we are here, Is this suspension and this Harbaugh and this cheating scandal, is that impacting the game? Is that impacting the game for you as a fan? And if you want to post that as a simple yes or no, I think that's it. Is the Harbaugh suspension and the cheating scandal from Michigan, does that impact the game on Saturday for you as a fan? And we'll post that at Matt Fontana Show. Drop us a follow there if you can. Live streaming the show there as always. Go back for the replay. You missed Ben Axelrod yesterday. Ben was fantastic. Go back and watch that. And we talked a lot of Michigan, Ohio State with Ben. And that was kind of my ultimate goal, is I didn't want it to impact this game. And as everything had gone on throughout the process of the suspension and the announcements and the discovery period and all that crap, I wanted to remove myself from the situation because we were just getting inundated with it. I understand it. This was a pretty big scandal. This is a huge team in college football, and it was something that, frankly, had never been seen before. So the reports were left and right. And I'm not going to lie, the most fun that I got out of it was the craziness of Connor Stallion, the Venmo transaction history and the surveillance tape. I found that stuff hilarious. I loved that. But nothing, and I said this with Ben yesterday, right? Nothing tops Michigan putting a direct ripped quote from a blog into legal paperwork filed in the United States justice system that they ripped off of some blog. That tops it. That's the cherry on top of everything in this whole craziness with Michigan. So I wanted to get past all that, and I did. And frankly, when they accepted this suspension, I said, great, maybe we can get back to some normalcy a little bit. Because as a fan, this is one of my favorite days of the year on Saturday. That is one of my favorite days of the year, is Ohio State, Michigan. And we wiped the floor with them for a good little while there, and they came back a little bit. And it's meant to be a rivalry game. I don't want to lose to Michigan. I don't. But they have beaten us, and the rivalry is back on. I don't want this crap to infect the game. And the problem is, I know I'm living in a world that's not true. I know that they will talk about it. I know Gus Johnson doesn't listen to this show, man. For the love of God, stop it, Maserati. Maybe he does. I don't know. You never know. We're far and wide reaching here on the show. Gus Johnson, he's become a caricature of himself. I'm sorry. Okay. And I have a lot of respect for Gus Johnson. I thought he was a great broadcaster one time. He is now just shoehorning this Maserati Marv and this Blake the Great, which doesn't even rhyme, by the way. I don't know what he's doing with that. It's distracting. I don't know what's more distracting for Saturday. Gus Johnson and Maserati Marv, or the suspension for Harbaugh?
Matt, we should make a game out of it. What's going to be said more, Maserati Marv or Blake the Great?
Have I told you about the drinking game that I used to play in my prior stop? Let me tell you about the drinking game.
Let's hear it.
So my prior stop, I hosted a show called ESPN Cleveland Tonight. It was ECT. And one of the best things that we did every year was a preseason drinking game. Because in the preseason for the Browns, you got nothing going except, let's have a few beverages. And we would encourage you could play with coffee and tea if you wanted to. If you wanted to play with delicious garage beer, power to you. And what we would do is, before the game, we would come up with a list of things that would happen and a corresponding amount of drinks. You ever play the Shark Week drinking game?
I have not.
What? Okay. So Shark Week on Discovery Channel?
Sure.
They would come up with this list, and this is really truly the genesis of it, where for Shark Week, if anybody spoke in an Australian accent, take 2 sips. If there was a dramatic reenactment of a shark attack, you take 4 sips. If the shark launches out of the air, you start a chug until they go back into the water. All this, and then you just sit down and you play the Shark Week drinking game. So we did that for Browns preseason games. And it would be, whatever the hot topic was, like a DTR touchdown was 6, when Joe Thomas got inducted, we did a 7 or 3 on the, whatever, and there'd be corresponding. We could do that for the game. The problem is that if I told you even to take a sip of your beverage every time Gus Johnson said Maserati Marv, you'd be tanked and asleep at halftime because he just says it ad nauseum. It's just, it's too much. It's too much.
I'm going to keep a counter for us, Matt.
I hope it goes to 100. I hope it's a pitch counter and it goes up to 100 because you're going to need it. That all aside, it is a Fox game on Saturday, so we will get Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt on the call. But for the Michigan side of it, if they lose, they're going to bring this up. If they don't win this game, they're going to say, we didn't have Harbaugh. And it's funny because they didn't say that against Penn State. Certainly didn't say it against Maryland. And I think it's kind of resurfaced about the suspension of the 3 games. Where I've said this, that the Big Ten, which is pretty much out, right? They have accepted that Michigan took the 3 games. I thought it was hilarious that they said, well, we'll give you the 3 games and we don't have to prove that Harbaugh did or knew anything. That was Michigan probably saying, all right, we're going to take this deal. And you, me, and everybody knows there's more out there. There's more out there, okay? And the Big Ten's done. The NCAA is not. But they're not going to do anything until the offseason. So what the NCAA and probably what the Big Ten hoped is that this gets figured out on the field. Make no mistake that the Big Ten and the NCAA, they're rooting for Ohio State to win on Saturday because if they do, then it remedies the situation. That is almost like a postseason ban that they didn't actually have to enact. They didn't actually have to give that to Michigan. So they're rooting their tails off for Ohio State on Saturday. But the suspension of Harbaugh going into the Ohio State game was the closest that they're the best that they could do to impact that game, right? That is the best that they could do to impact that game without actually suspending Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines for the postseason. And I just want to be able to sit down in this game with whoever wins or loses and have the cheating thing and the scandal not be the topic of conversation. But I know that that's impossible. I know that even years down the road, however this game plays out, it's going to get brought up. You will remember the 2023 Ohio State-Michigan game as the cheating scandal game, and Harbaugh wasn't there for it. And I know we have a long time on what Harbaugh's future is there, with where Ohio State goes, with where Michigan goes. One of those teams goes and wins the national championship. It's just always going to be a level to this season, which I frankly hate. I hate it. And I just want to be able to sit down and watch the game for what it's worth. But Ryan, I know that that's not possible. I know that there's no way that we can just sit down and watch this game on Saturday without having the implications of what happened in Michigan. It's just always going to be there. And have they picked up the pieces the best that they could? Are there people that say, oh, how big is it that you don't have Harbaugh on the sidelines? They are making a bigger thing out of this at Michigan because that's what a team would do. That's what a fan base would do. You really think the fan base is going to boycott College Game Day? You really think that's going to happen?
I doubt it.
I doubt it, too. The signs, because you know that they, they gatekeep those signs.
Have you ever been to a College Game Day?
I've not, no. I, of all the Ohio State games that I've gone to, none of them have ever been worthy of of College Game Day being there. I think as a fan, I've only been to like 3 Ohio State games as a fan, a couple as a media member. So I've never been there for College Game Day, but you can make your signs, but they gatekeep. They can't have people with the F word on their signs showing it on national television.
I'll tell you what, Matt. I had the opportunity to go to College Game Day in Cincinnati. The year they went to the playoffs, they were playing. I believe it was Tulsa. I think it was Tulsa. And I got there at 10 at night. And I was like the 4th one in line, and we camped out. Oh, wow. Yeah, so
that's some dedication.
The gate opened up at, I think, 7 a.m.
Were you at the rail then? You got right up to the rail?
Yeah. I was right there at the rail, front row.
It's like going to a concert. There's a blessing and a curse with that because you want to get to the rail so you have something to lean on for the next 8 hours. Concert's not that long, but then the problem is that everybody pushes you up against it.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to fight for your space.
Yeah.
But dedication from you. I appreciate that.
But I had you mentioned the signs. I brought my sign, of course, and
Did they not check it?
Well, no, they checked it, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course
it was just, it had my Venmo on it.
Oh, yeah, because everybody goes Venmo me for beer.
And they were not messing with that. They scratched it out, ruined my whole plan, and I remained.
One kid did that,
broke.
and he made all that money, right? Remember that?
And that was my dream, but it didn't work out.
Sorry. Speaking of Venmo or the things, I was at the grocery store like a week or two ago. Somebody had their car there, and on the back, they like wrote on the window paint that they were a traveling poet, traveling the country for inspiration, and if you wanted to Venmo them some money to help on their trip, their Venmo was on the back of their car.
Help the starving artist.
I thought about it. I was like, man, I should have sent him $5. Get in there, get yourself some food or something like that. But what a world to live in. Go travel the country for a year, write some poetry. I should have wrote it down. Gave him a little pub here on the show. But, for Michigan, that is going, and especially because it's at Michigan, so it's going to be even worse. I think if it was down in Columbus, it might be a little more like you might be able to stomach it a little bit more. But you're up in Michigan. And the thing is, if you are ESPN, let's put our ESPN VP hats on for a little bit. Would you allow signs that talk about the cheating scandal?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I wonder because they're gonna be there. They got to be in good taste. I understand that, but it's kind of the essence of what we're talking about here. Like, you're taking away from the game. Do you believe, Ryan? That's our Twitter question this morning. Do you believe that the suspension and the cheating scandal is taking away from this game? That's actually a better way to ask the question. I know you already posted it. That's fine, but do you believe that this suspension and the Harbaugh stuff? Do you think it's taking away from the game on Saturday?
I mean, there's really no doubt about it.
Yeah.
The fact that it's going to, and especially more so the Michigan side, because if they lose, they have that built-in excuse to fall back on. But as a non-Ohio State fan, I have a different perspective. So I'm just going to relax Saturday, watch a good game, and really, I don't care who wins. So
you don't have any credits on it? You don't want to place a credit on it?
No.
Well, hope Ohio State wins so I can win something from Sonny, okay? Can I get that from you? All right, a little good juju there from Sonny. We'll have him coming up at 10 o'clock for all your picks. But yeah, I mean, that's the crappy thing is it's unavoidable. As much as I just want to try to focus in on the game, I think it's going to be a tough go. And that's on me. And that's this whole process. I frankly wish it didn't happen, but here we are. And then knowing for the game itself, and we'll get to the Friday report card because we're going to do Browns, Broncos, and we'll do Ohio State, Michigan. The line's moved, by the way. It's down to 3. Got up to 4. It's down to 3. And I would imagine that's just a lot of money coming in on Ohio State. I mean, they're a giant fan base, and that'll move the line. We'll talk to Sonny about it. But this is going to be, I believe, a very close game. In two teams that... here's a crazy thing. I think you have two teams coming in that I don't know what to expect. And what I mean is, Ohio State's signature win was Notre Dame, right? Do you put that much stock into it, seeing what Notre Dame is now? And the same thing for Penn State. That was Michigan's best win, and probably Ohio State's second best. And I just, I don't know what I'm going to get out of these teams on Saturday. Like, my gut would be Ohio State. I think they have some edges in several different areas. But that's the thing. Right? I think I know who Georgia is. I know who Washington is. I really know who Oregon is. I don't know if I know who Michigan and Ohio State are. They've had to win different ways this season. Guys that you thought, like J.J. McCarthy, has he had the season that anybody expected? No. In their signature win, they didn't even give him the football to try to win it. Blake Corum has had a nice season. There's a world that we'll get to in the Friday report card. Travion Henderson's the best running back on the field on Saturday. So you take that out. And defensively, two of the best defenses in all of college football. But it's just, I don't know. Like, I'm a little confused on the teams that I look at for Saturday. And then that's even more of a reason why you might look to say that the Michigan impact of not having Harbaugh is a little amplified, if you will, because he's not there. And I don't look at this Michigan team as some juggernaut. That's what I'm trying to say. I look at Ohio State, Michigan, I say, these guys are not like juggernauts. These are not two teams that have just decimated everybody, and they've been on this collision course for one another all season. They've had tests. And really what it is, I don't put any faith in those Penn State games for either one of those teams. I don't. I just don't think Penn State's very good. So that gives me like, okay. And you got to play the schedule as it plays out, but I don't know. Like, I could see this going either way, and that's probably reflective in the line being at 3 of what it is. So vote on our Twitter question that's up at Matt Fontana Show. We'll talk some more Ohio State, Michigan when we get to the report card coming up, but we'd be remiss to go even further into this show. We're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers with a giant, massive win over the 76ers last night. You take it to overtime, 122-119. That's 4 straight for the wine and gold. The Darius Garland bank 3 to save it there. I really had some questions in some of the officiating. Dude, that screen late in the game that Embiid was like this. He literally couldn't stick his butt out far enough, and then they call it on Strus, like whatever. That was a fun-ass game, man. 18 from Mobley, a big 26 from Jared Allen. We're back to, I think, getting Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. That was their best combo game. The Cavs, for Mitchell and Garland, super important. The next important duo on this team is Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. When you got a game against Joel Embiid, which I know he, at 32, they fouled him out, all that kind of stuff. But that was fun to see from them. And, dude, Max Strus, I know had a couple of rough games for a stretch here and there, continues to show, like, what a signing. What a signing. Not just for the 20 points, for some of the dimes that he dished out in that game yesterday. That was a momentum game. That was a giant momentum game for the Cavs to kind of show that, you want Donovan Mitchell out there, but you can win without him, which is crazy because if I told you that you're going to lean on guys like George Niang and you're going to have to, dude.
Craig
freaking Porter, man. Craig Porter. And shout out to Chris Fedor. If anybody hasn't read that Cleveland.com article on kind of the back end of who Craig Porter is and how he came to the Cavs, it's a great article from Chris. But you didn't have Karis LeVert in that game. But
Or Mr. Okoro.
Or Isaac Okoro is still missing. Okay. We're all positive today, man, on the Cavs. And I know that they're missing guys. When Okoro gets back, we need to start cutting Dean Wade's minutes. Okay, we need to severely start to rethink our minutes with Dean Wade. And it's not just because he went 0 for 4. It's watching the game, and I know there's a lot of smart basketball fans out there, and you watch the game for more than just the ball go in the hoop, right? And I watch when Dean Wade gets the basketball, he's passing up shots. Are they great shots? No. But he's got these 10 to 12 footers that he's got separation and he's looking to pass. And that tells me all I need to know that I don't think I need him on the floor. Okay, he got some rebounds. Defensively, he was minus 12. Minus 12, so I don't think the defense is quite there. And I understand, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're missing guys. Are you going to play Tristan Thompson those minutes? I don't know. We need to really think some Dean Wade minutes here because my boy is struggling out there. And it's a great win. I don't want to take away from it, Ryan. It was a fantastic win, but we need to sit Dean Wade down for a little bit there. Find some different rotations to go. For the Cavs, though, I mean, the resiliency in that game, and really, it was a fun game. It was a really fun game. And if you want to look at it to say, yeah, the 76ers went on that, 15-4 run. You kind of choked away a lead. Sure, you still got to win on the road against a really good Philadelphia 76ers team. And I hadn't watched a lot of 76ers games until last night. And I knew Tyrese Maxey was very good. I knew Joel Embiid was really good. I knew Tobias Harris was really good. But I really came out of that saying, like, that's a good basketball team. The 76ers are a really good basketball team. And we said, I think they're probably better off without Harden for a lot of different reasons. But they're a team that you could easily see in the Eastern Conference Finals. Sure. And the Cavs took it to them. And they fought. And they were resilient. Because especially when you choke that lead away like you did, it would have been easy to kind of crawl into a hole and say, hey, man, it's not our night tonight. That's a good team over there. We're missing 2 of our good players. And they came back on us. And Darius freaking Garland, man. Dude, he's on his way to an All-NBA nod this year. I don't know about first team or set, but Darius Garland, his game is really been ascending like we had hoped Evan Mobley would. And Mobley, I get, is polarizing. People want to see more, but the steps and just where Darius Garland has taken his game with where he is in the NBA, just watching Inside the NBA after the game. And I think it was Shaq. And one of the threes that Garland hit, he goes, oh, all right. You know, I mean, Darius Garland is becoming a top 10 guard in the league. Top 10 guard in the league. No, I don't think there's a question about that. And for him to shoulder that load, too, without Donovan Mitchell out there, gives me a lot of hope for the future. And I know it's conflicting with Donovan Mitchell and this and that, but I have a really good feeling that Darius Garland and Evan Mobley are going to be here for a long time. And every time I think Garland steps on the floor, I feel better about that. And yeah, Mobley's got to do a little bit more and got to continue to improve. But Darius Garland is good enough to be a number one guy on a playoff team. And that's what I think the Cavs have. Certainly when you get Donovan Mitchell back, and certainly when Karis LeVert's, back healthy too. But that was, dude, and it was a fun game to watch. It was really a lot of fun, even for the average person. But I'll say this again. I don't know if Gus Johnson's listening to the show, and I don't know if Adam Silver is listening to the show, but please send this message to Commissioner Silver. Get rid of those stupid freaking courts. It is distracting. You want to do a different court, and Ryan, do you know why they did those different courts? So people would know that it's a play-in game, or it's a tournament game. So people would know as soon as you turn the TV on, when you see the crazy courts, that it's an in-season tournament game. Because the game right after us was the Lakers and Jazz. So I was up with my daughter, so I was watching that game a lot. And they smoked them bad. Colin Sexton he threw down on a dunk though. It was pretty fun to watch. So again, a crazy court out in LA. It's purple and they got the champion. Cool, I get it. But they made these courts so people just tuning into a game go, oh, this is an in-season tournament game. It's distracting. It is extremely distracting to watch. So they need to revisit that. I'm not saying you shouldn't. Here's what you do. Make a court and put in the middle tournament, or put somewhere on the court that says tournament so we all know that. Put it on the ticker. Put it on the ticker at the bottom. The score bug. Put it on there. In-season tournament. These courts got to go, man. They have got to go. And I know there's only a couple of games left, and the Cavs, they have one more game against Atlanta, I think. And if they win, they have an outside shot at a wild card for the knockout round or whatever. But those courts got to go. Those courts have got to go. Final thing to wrap up here, our opening segment. When we come back, we have the Friday report card. We're going to do Browns and Broncos. We're going to do Ohio State and Michigan. Speaking of the Browns, though, Shaq Leonard gets released yesterday. And it's always something with Browns fans who are, in my opinion, very in tune and very on the know. That's fine if he clears waivers. Because in no world are you picking up Shaq Leonard on the deal that he has. He's got injury guarantees. I know people jumped on he doesn't have any fully guaranteed money for next year and all that kind of stuff. Let him clear waivers. And the thing is, there's confidence now that the Browns are a good enough team that if you called Shaq Leonard, which, by the way, did you see that video of him in the afternoon passing out turkeys? He got cut by the Colts and still went out to hand out turkeys to people in the city of Indianapolis. That's a stand-up dude. That is I want to shout him out. I know a lot of people did on social media yesterday, but that's fantastic. We need more people in this world like Shaq Leonard. That was amazing. That was so cool. So, and I know that's probably hard for him. He leaves the Colts. It was a shocker. He's battled the neck injury there, sure. Back in the day, when the Browns were in the bottom of the league, you couldn't get guys to come here unless you traded for them or unless you picked them up on waivers where they didn't have a choice. That's not the world we live in. Where once Shaq Leonard clears waivers this afternoon and he looks at his phone and he sees Andrew Berry's number come up, he's going to pick that phone up. In the past, he'd be like, I'll let that one go to voicemail, right? Or I'll call him back after I talk to some other teams. Why would he not? That was not Andrew Bayer that just texted me, by the way. So, somebody else. The Browns are in the hunt. If they want to go get Shaq Leonard, would you want Shaq Leonard? I'd be interested. I would be. If Anthony Walker's going to be out for an extended time with that hamstring, sure, why not? Cherry on the top. You're a team trying to push for the playoffs. He's a guy I think that could help. But in no world, and obviously I don't think, we'll find out later if anybody did pick him up on waivers. I don't think so. But I'd sign him, but only on a free agency deal, Ryan. Would you take Shaq Leonard here on a free agency deal?
Yeah, I would.
Not the deal that he has?
Yeah, I definitely would. I mean, it's another vet you bring into the locker room, and you look at it from his point of view, a chance to, later in his career, come onto a team that has the best defense in football and add to it. And if anything, it's just more depth at linebacker, a position where we see kind of beat up, like you mentioned, Anthony Walker. And just our defense as a whole has kind of been going through an injury bug. So it's another body to add, another great player, and another vet to come into this locker room and kind of keep the ship going.
Yep. All right, let's catch a break. We come back. We're going to do the Friday report card for both college, Ohio State, Michigan, and the pros, Browns, Broncos. Don't miss that. Coming up 10 o'clock, Sonny Gupta from Tipico is going to join us. We'll get to our NFL picks in hour 2. We got a lot lined up right here on a Thanksgiving Eve edition of the Matt Fontana Show right here on Big Play.
righty, Matt. Look at this.
Let's do it. Ohio State, Michigan. Look at those QBRs for Kyle McCord and J.J. McCarthy.
Oh, some big numbers.
A special edition here of the Friday Report Card. Welcome back. And it's Wednesday. People are like, what the hell? No, it's Wednesday, I know. So, but nonetheless, the Friday Report Card. We always do this on Friday for the Browns and who their opponent is. We will do the Browns and Broncos coming up, but a special edition for Ohio State and Michigan as we line things up and get ready to go. Pretty simple. We'll go through the quarterbacks, go through all the position groups, coaching, and we'll tell you where you think or where we think things lay out for each team. We start with the quarterbacks, J.J. McCarthy and Kyle McCord, who really in the preseason, Ryan, were favorites relative, not the heavy favorites, but they were in the top 10.
Yeah.
Of the Heisman voting. And here's the reason why. They're the starting quarterbacks at two power schools. So there's always going to be that that kind of shift. They're always going to get votes for that. And where you see those high rankings, 178 for J.J. McCarthy. That is the fourth best in all of college football. The only quarterbacks better than him, Jaden Daniels, who's very much in the Heisman conversation. Bo Nix at Oregon, very much in the Heisman conversation. Kadeon Salter at Liberty, who they've been resurgence and a great team to watch this year. And then Jalen Milroe at Alabama, which, like, you want to know the crazy thing about Jalen Milroe?
What's that?
He's been sacked 33 times this year. 33. For comparison, Bo Nix has been sacked 5 times.
Very un-Saban-like.
5. Very light. And I didn't think they were really going to go anywhere, Jalen Milroe. I mean, some of the games he played, he's not been good. They were thinking about benching him at one point.
He's had like a Jekyll and Hyde season.
Yeah.
The first 6 games or whatever. He's really turned it up. Good for him.
And then you get to J.J. McCarthy at 4, and then you scroll on down to Kyle McCord. And I think McCord is still 12th in college football relative when it comes to the quarterback rating, which, like, you take that for what it's worth. But he's there. He's right behind Penix. He's right behind Carson Beck. He's right behind Caleb Williams. I think the things that stand out to me for McCord and McCarthy, number one is the completion percentage. And you see it right there. 66% is very high. But 74% completion percentage. Because Bo Nix has that gaudy 78%.
That's some fifth-year numbers right there.
Oh, it's crazy. And they don't throw it down the field necessarily a lot, even though Bo Nix is averaging 9.8 yards per pass.
How old is Bo now? He's got to be
like 23. Yeah. You might be the same age as Bo Nix.
I think so.
You'd be playing at Oregon.
I might be younger than him.
You might be. So if you take out, put it this way, at 74.5% of qualified quarterbacks, like you take out this Purdue kid that has 12 attempts on the year, J.J. McCarthy is second in NCAA in completion percentage. Now, the crazy thing is I talked about Bo Nix at 9.8 yards per average. J.J. McCarthy's at 9.9. 10 yards per average. So it's not these just little dink and dunk things. What does that tell you? Ryan, that Michigan has superior receivers to a lot of the teams that they're playing, as does Ohio State. So completion percentage in college, I mean, it's a little like, I think it could be a little skewed.
Yeah.
You talk about touchdowns, 22 there for Kyle McCord. Only the 18 for J.J. McCarthy, which I think is the interesting part of just why his season tanked from a Heisman standpoint. There were games that they didn't look to him. There were games that they said, you know what, we're going to go elsewhere here for it. On the rushing attack, too, these are neither one of these guys. And what's McCord got touchdown? You know, Kyle McCord does not have a rushing touchdown this season. Not even like a sneak.
Yeah, because I know on a lot of those goal lines, they tend to use, what's that kid, Devin Brown?
Devin Brown,
yeah.
You're right. He gets in there, or you turn, you give it to Travion Henderson, things like that. On the rushing side of things for J.J. McCarthy, it's kind of the same thing. On the year, rushing, he only has 3 touchdowns, and they came in 2 games in the middle of the season. So I think McCarthy can move a little bit better getting outside of the pocket. But in reality, on the edge, I think we have to give it to J.J. McCarthy. I think we do.
I think that's fair.
So now we go to let's go back to all the teams that we have now. So we'll line this out of all the different groups that we have. We start with the head coach. If this was Jim Harbaugh, we'd give this to Ohio State. It's not, so we turn things over to Ryan Day and the Buckeyes. I talked about Ryan Day the other day, Ryan, to say that this game for him it's more important to actually beat Michigan than it is to go to the national championship, which is crazy. Because people build up this rivalry, and this is all that matters, and I get it. But in reality, he's on the hot seat not because of all the other teams that he beats. He's on the hot seat because he doesn't beat Michigan. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I don't know, man. I think that's asinine. I don't like that.
I don't like it either. I mean, it makes sense, because the rivalry's so big, but it is a shame because I agree with you. There's so much put into this one game that if Ryan Day, like you said, let's say he loses this game and
people want him fired not because he missed out on going to win a national championship, it's because now 0-3 in Michigan in his last 3 games. That's why.
Yeah.
That is 100% why. And it's really John Cooper. They just fall back into that John Cooper era. So it's definitely Ryan Day when it's not Jim Harbaugh over there. To the receiving core, I think this is one of the wider gaps, too. The fact is that Marvin Harrison will be the best player on the field come Saturday. He's already got 1,000 receiving yards. He's got 13 touchdowns. The leading receiver for Michigan is Roman Wilson. Now, he's got 10 touchdowns, which is pretty good. Ryan, he only has 600 receiving yards. 6. And then Cornelius Johnson's got 470. I think actually an intriguing matchup that we will line into the wide receivers here is the tight end. Because that Loveland kid is their third leading receiver. And then Cade Stover, he's been injured, right? So they're kind of monitoring this. Now, the crazy thing is, Ohio State is extremely top heavy, where they have almost 1,100 receiving yards for Marvin Harrison. Then you get a drop to 500 for Cade Stover, and then Emeka Ibuka's only got 400. Julian Fleming only has 200. And outside of Marvin Harrison and Cade Stover, do you know how many touchdowns the Buckeyes have outside of those two guys? Receiving-wise? Out of Marvin and Cade. They have a combined 18. There's only 6 other touchdowns.
Yeah, I believe it.
3 for Ibuka, and then a couple guys each have 1. So the thing is, Michigan is a little better from a depth standpoint. I think they have more receivers, but we have the best one. And also, Ibuka and Xavier Johnson and Julian Fleming, they all have been kind of in and out. And they all been gearing up. They're going to play for this game. They're going to come in on Saturday, rested and well to go. So I don't think it's anything crazy to say that I would definitely give the edge to Ohio State in this one when it came to the wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. And like you said, I think out of all these position groups, that's the one that is clearly the most cut and dry in Ohio State. And whether that's because you have the best player in college football on your side, or just from a depth point of view, it's got to go Ohio State.
Here's one that will get people fired up, and it's the running back position. Because you would lean and say, oh my God, Blake Corum, 20 touchdowns this year. We gave it to TreVeyon Henderson for this reason. Ryan, I'm talking about the best running back going into this game on Saturday, and it is TreVeyon Henderson.
Absolutely.
So number one, Blake Corum, who's played in every game for them this year. He only has 2 100-yard rushing games this year. 2 weeks ago against Penn State, where they just ran him into the ground to get a win, and he finished with $145 and 2 touchdowns. The only other 100-yard game, Ryan, he beat up on our Bowling Green Falcons for 100 yards. That's it. That is it. Now, the 20 touchdowns is gaudy. I know that, and he's up on the Michigan rushing touchdown list and all that kind of stuff. But then I flip over to our TreVeyon Henderson. 4 out of his last 5 games, he has had over 100 yards, including a 162 and a 146 game. So if you even want to look at it this way, Ryan, Blake Corum, his highest rushing total is 145. TreVeyon Henderson has 2 games above that, and then 2 more games that are higher than any other game. So of the running backs in this game, of the 5 highest rushing totals, TreVeyon Henderson has 4 of them.
Yeah, Matt, I got to agree with you on this one. I think TreVeyon Henderson is better. I mean, you look at Blake Corum's touchdown numbers, it's hard to argue against. We're not doing that. We're not here doing that. However, I think TreVeyon Henderson is a better runner. And then to go even further than that, you look down at the next position group, O-line. We gave Michigan the nod, as I think most teams would, or most people would.
They came in, and the final thing on TreVeyon Henderson, I know he's been injured. I know he's not played in every game, but when he's been out there, and especially, like I said, dude, going into this weekend, TreVeyon Henderson is scorching hot. Scorching hot. And that's where we went there. So the offensive line, there were publications in the preseason, Ryan, that said Michigan had the best offensive line in the country. In the country. And Ohio State has had to kind of piecemeal it. They had to replace 3 out of their 5 starters. They've had some issues here and there, sure, but that is still something that I think Michigan does boast the better offensive line in there. I think it's mostly because, yes, they were so good, but also Ohio State's had some struggles up there on that O-line for sure.
Yeah, Matt, I agree with you, and that just goes further to add that what Travion Henderson's doing is even more impressive with not bad by any O-line by any means, but we did give the nod to Michigan here, and that just proves that I believe Travion Henderson is the better runner in this game, and I think draft capital is going to reflect that as well.
I do. All right, let's get to defense now. Same thing, very close. I think this is very close. So you are facing the number 1 and number 2 scoring defenses in the NFL. Just on the big 3 metrics, these teams you could throw a blanket over. Michigan, number 1, they give up 9 points per game. Ohio State gives up 9.3. They're 1 and 2. Rush yards a game. Michigan gives up 90. Ohio State gives up 109. Very close there. And then passing yards, 144.8 for Michigan, 144.4 for Ohio State. So they are close. Again, 1 and 2 in pass yardage allowed, 1 and 2 in the country in points per game. Rushing is a little bit of a misnomer because there are some teams like James Madison, the upstart Dukes there. They lead the NCAA in that. So, like, it's not quite as gaudy for Ohio State and Michigan. Like, they're still top 20. But it's really, they stop the pass, and then they stop the teams from scoring. I understand that it's a little, with anything, you look at the teams that you have played. Here is another reason why I decided to go with Ohio State as the defense. They have played better offense.
Absolutely.
And the thing is Notre Dame. Now, I was crapping on Notre Dame earlier in the show, saying that maybe they're not quite who I thought they were. But nonetheless, the resume for the Ohio State defense is stronger than the one for Michigan. So that's how I kind of divided that up. The other crazy thing is, Ryan, they're not a giant sack team, either one.
They're not.
They have 27 and we have 21. Yeah. There really isn't quite that like generational type pass rusher in this game. Like, I like JTT as much as the next guy, but there isn't a Bosa in this game. There isn't a Chase Young in this game to really kind of game wreck it and take it over. So that's another interesting part where you're holding teams to minimal passing yards, but really both teams are doing it without some, huge sack guy on the field.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this Ohio State defense so intriguing is in years past, we've been so used to and accustomed to these superstar names, especially on the edge, like a Chase Young, like a Nick or Joey Bosa, and then even in the secondary, like a Denzel Ward. And so this Ohio State group is just really a bunch of dudes that are just balling out. And like you said, JT Tuimoloau's doing his thing. You got Denzel Burke on the outside who's clamps. They just got a bunch of dudes who are coming together and playing some really good football right when it matters the most.
Yeah, I think the defense is going to be... again, why I'm so excited for this game, these teams really are like razor-thin margin. They're very similar. They are very similar in what they do. They're very similar on just the skill of the players out there. And that kind of comes back to our question this morning, which you can vote at Matt Fontana's show. The difference might be the coaching. And the difference might be that Harbaugh is not there. Overall, Ryan, I think on paper, we have to give it to Ohio State, do we not? Yeah,
we do, Matt. And this is completely non-biased. Like I said, I'm not really a Buckeyes fan by any means.
That's why you're on the show, because you kind of keep me grounded, which I appreciate.
But, this game reminds me, or just Ohio State in general, it reminds me, honestly, that you could draw a lot of parallels to the Cleveland Browns. You have an elite defense that is top in the country, or in Browns' case, in the league. And really, you have a quarterback, a little better for Kyle McCord, right, than our situation with DTR. But you have a quarterback who...
Would you rather start Sunday, DTR, Kyle McCord, 2-1? No, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, get out here. But you have a subpar quarterback with a bunch of weapons around him, more so Ohio State. You're telling Kyle McCord the same thing that they're telling DTR. Go manage the game. Don't turn the ball over. Let our defense do the thing. And we're going to go torch the other team on the ground, and we're going to come out and win.
Yeah. All right, you want to flip right over to the pro side of things. Let's do Browns-Broncos very quickly as we got Sonny Gupta coming up at 10 o'clock to get all your picks for the weekend. Browns-Broncos. Let's get to it.
Here we go.
Sean Payton rocks the hell out of that visor, doesn't he? He loves that visor. Russell Wilson, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, very clearly a Russell Wilson-led team here. But the crazy thing is, Ryan, yardage, like, the best thing that Russell Wilson does have is you see that 104 quarterback rating, which is actually third in the NFL. But yardage, he is not there. Touchdowns, decent, okay. Interceptions are really the one thing that he's only got 4. That's a really low mark there for Russell Wilson. I think the scariest thing for Russell Wilson and for the Browns facing the Broncos this weekend, I do believe that they have figured out just a little bit there in Denver, and it was going to take some time. Whatever you think of Sean Payton, it was only going to be a matter of time before they kind of figured it out. So early in the season, Russell Wilson had his 300-yard games. Do you want to know the stats that jump out to me, Ryan?
What's that?
In Russell Wilson's last 4 games, completion percentages of 77, 83, 64, and 70.
Wow.
And in the pro game, that's good. That is damn good. You want to be in the 60s, in the 70s is pretty high there. His completion percentage, which is 70 on the season, but the last 4 games is really where he's turned it around. He's had 7 touchdowns in the last 4 games too. I really kind of look at it to say that's where I think things have turned. For Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I mean, it's a work in progress and things like that. Here's where I think the Browns, when it comes to Russell Wilson, we'll talk defense too. Russell Wilson's been sacked 13 times in their last 4 games. So again, I'm talking about their last 4 games where they have 4 wins, which I truly believe that's been the turn now for the Denver Broncos and the team that you're going to see. He got sacked 6 times in that KC game. Now, that was a weather game. That was kind of a crappy game. But then 4 in that Buffalo win, and he still got sacked twice last week when they beat Minnesota. So that is, I think, an edge for the Browns to try to get after Russell Wilson. He doesn't seem like quite the mobile guy. I don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely not. And I mean, that's a thing that obviously comes with age, right? But he's been playing pretty well, and Denver's obviously turned things around. And we've seen Russell kind of return to Magic Russ, if you will, escaping the pocket and kind of turning something or nothing into something. And it's been fun to see. Obviously, I don't want that to continue this Sunday, though. But it'll be a really good test for the Browns.
Let's get to the other position groups out there. Browns, Broncos. We start with the head coach. Did we give it to Cleveland? We did? Okay. We'll give it to Kevin Stefanski.
I'm giving it to Cleveland. Sean Payton's been out of the game too long. He's only there 1 season.
That's
5-5. Kevin 7-3, doing it with less.
You know what?
I'm giving him the nod.
Right. You know, damn right, Ryan. You know what? I'm discrediting what Coach Stefanski is doing here. I really am. I am. You're right. That's 100% correct. And there's a lot of scuttlebutt in Denver about if they're leaning on. If anything, it's working out for Denver, where Sean Payton is proving like, no, I think I can actually get something out of Russell Wilson now, which is the dream case there for Denver, because it was going to go really bad for them if they couldn't make that marriage work. It is, so that's fine. We'll give it to Coach Stefanski there. Wide receiver, this had to go to Denver just strictly from the fact of they got 2 guys, while I think the Browns have 1. Now, the X factor, as it's been all season, is Elijah Moore, right? Where Amari Cooper, in my opinion, is the best receiver on the field Sunday, but then it would probably go Cortland Sutton and what could have been Cleveland Brown Jerry Jeudy. He stepped it up a little bit lately, too. And then your guy, I know you love Marvin Mims.
Yeah, but they don't like to play him, so if I was the coach in Denver, he'd be starting.
Tight end-wise, you would give it to Njoku, drops and all, but they're starting Adam Troutman. Is he a Dayton Flyer? Is that where he came from, Troutman?
I don't know. I remember him when he was on the Saints, but I'm not sure where he went to college.
Dayton Flyer, good point for Matt. So if you want to factor that in, that would lean towards the Browns a little bit. But Denver's got 2 of the top 3 guys. 2 of them are on the Denver side. I think that clearly goes there.
Yeah, it's just a matter of kind of like Michigan and Ohio State. Denver has more depth. I still would say Amari Cooper is going to be the best receiver on that field, but they got more depth. They got more guys. So we'll just give it to Denver.
We go in running back with Denver, mostly because Javonte Williams would be the starter for the Browns if he happened to be on this team. More Kareem Hunt is what I want. I think Jerome Ford has been just fine, but Javonte Williams has been quite the find there for Denver, and they gave him that job. They said, hey, man, we're going to get rid of Melvin Gordon. We're going to clear this on out. And then you add in Samaje Perine, who's really good out of the backfield for them and always was in Cincinnati. And then Jaleel McLaughlin, who made some really big plays in that Denver and that Monday night game, too, for them. you got to go Denver on this one. But I think it's close. That's not a wide gap, I don't think.
Yeah, like you said, if Javonte Williams was on the Browns, he'd be our clear-cut running back starter right now. I remember him very highly touted coming out of college. You got a lot of comparisons to our guy Nick Chubb as well. Great vision, great downfield runner. Had some ups and downs in his career, obviously, with getting injured and coming back. But they got something cooking there in Denver, so we'll give them the running back room on that one.
All right, I need to pull this up for the offensive line, and I apologize that I should have done this before. The most penalties by an offensive lineman in the NFL this season. So Jawan Taylor, out of any player in the league, has the most penalties at 12. I'm looking for Mike McGlinchey. He's got 6, and I think all 6 are false starts. Watching that Denver game, they made a mention, like Denver's got a false start, something. I just feel like, I don't know why, Ryan, that they have a lot of penalties there for Denver. So McGlinchey, Pat Surtain has 6, a lot of defensive and all that kind of stuff, and McGlinchey is there too. But that offensive line, when you look down the list there, so McGlinchey's their right tackle, I think pretty solid. Cushionberry's turned out to be a pretty good center out of Michigan. And then Garrett Bowles, who a lot of people wanted the Browns to go trade for at left tackle. They're a decent offensive line, but the Browns are still, in my opinion, one of the better ones in the league. The question is going to be DeJuan Jones this week. If he can come out there and play a full game or not. He gave the edge to the Browns. I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, even with all these injuries, Matt, I'm still going to give the nod to Cleveland. It's good to see. Hopefully it's trending in the right direction. We'll get DeJuan Jones back. And it may be a little bit closer than it may seem because of the injuries, but regardless, I think Cleveland gets the nod here.
And then defense, there's only a few teams in the league, and one of them is not Denver, that would be able to make the case that they're better than the Browns. That's not it. The biggest game for this is they do not have Kareem Jackson, so he was suspended. Now, I've not been keeping up on this story, and I apologize. I know he appealed. Was it denied?
I believe, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Derek Brooks held it up this week. You're right. I did see
it's
that.
4 games.
Yes, 4 games for repeated hits. Little Vontaze Burfict, if you will. And I know Justin Simmons came out there. Justin Simmons is a really good safety. Watch out for him this weekend. They got 2 good DBs, and really it would be 3 with Kareem Jackson. But Pat Surtain the second and Justin Simmons. Kareem Jackson got suspended for hits, and Justin Simmons came out. He's like, Dobbs was a runner. What did you want him to do? But nonetheless, that is certainly a hit for that defense. Baron Browning, former Ohio State linebacker, now they're playing. Watch out for Josie Jewell, their inside linebacker. He can make some plays there. I think the biggest question is their pass rush. You know, they signed Zach Allen out of Arizona as one of their big offseason signings, but really, Harris is their other DM. The question, they run that 3-4, which can be a little bit wonky, but I don't know, Ryan, on that defense, I don't look at too many guys that I'd be really worried about. On the front, I worry about Justin Simmons. I worry about Pat Surtain. That's really about it, though.
Yeah, you look at it, Myles Garrett is no question about it, the best defensive player in that game Sunday. And next to him, you would put Pat Surtain, who's a generational cornerback, top 5 in the league, if not top 3. Right. But then outside of that, really, it's a lot more Browns players stacked. I don't really think it's a question, although no discredit to Denver because these last 5 weeks, they've really turned around, and their defense has been playing pretty damn well. So no disrespect to them. It's just, sorry, Denver, you're going against the best defense in the world.
Simmons 3 interceptions on the year. Kareem Jackson has 2. They only have 10 interceptions as a team, so that's not really a lot. And then if you take away the 2 that Kareem Jackson is not playing with on Sunday, that'll be different. The pass rush I talked about, it's their linebackers. Their top 3 sack guys are their linebackers, Benito, Cooper, and Baron Browning. So that's a little different. You don't have to worry about the edge rushers so much. You're going to have to worry about the interior with the linebackers coming. That helps the Browns. Why? Our best linemen are on the interior. So it should help out there. Real easy for the defense. All right, let's catch a break. Sonny Gupta going to join us next for Tipico. We're not only going to start with Ohio State, couple other college games. We'll get his favorite play for Thanksgiving tomorrow. And we'll see what else he's got on lock there. Tipico, download that app. Use the code BIGPLAY100 when you sign up. Deposit and bet $25. You get $100 in bonus bets. Sign up today, and we'll get you our picks with Sonny and our NFL picks after. That comes your way next. Right here on Big Play, presented by our great friends at Tipico and Garage Beer. Back right after this. All right, back here on the Matt Fontana Show, gearing up for the long weekend. I love it. I saw it. Somebody sent a tweet today. You have like 14 NBA games, or not 14 games, something crazy like that. Double-digit NBA games today. You have all college basketball rolling. You got 3 games tomorrow on the NFL slate. Black Friday college football and pro football. We got it all for you, and to get some picks and help everybody win some money. Because Sonny Gupta joining us from Tipico. Sonny, we're going to go to Thanksgiving. You're going to be at somebody's house. You're going to be hanging out with the in-laws. You don't really want to see them and all that kind of stuff. You want to have $5 down on a game to sit there on your phone and watch that as opposed to talking to your great aunt, right?
Absolutely. We got a good slate. Well, we have an okay slate for Thanksgiving this week.
All right, Sonny, would you like to place a wager for this upcoming game on Saturday? So I looked this up because I wanted to do this for a spirit. I asked you last week. I said, enjoy beverage from time to time, and you said yeah. So the thing is, we can do it, but they're going to stop it if I try to send it to you. So we're going to have to do this through like Drizzly or something like that. But nonetheless, I will ask you, Sonny, on a $40 limit, nothing more than $40. Do you want to give me the points? We will place a wager on the Ohio State-Michigan game. I will hand that over to you as an offer for a little wager for this weekend. Do you accept?
Well, let's clarify, because the points have moved now. Now it's down to -3 for Michigan. Do we want it at 3 or do we like it at 3.5?
I like the hook.
What are we doing here, Matt?
I hate the hook. I want the hook. I hate the even. So if you would indulge me on the hook, I will take it. But if not, I'll take the 3. That's fine.
I'm in a generous mood right now. I feel like this is going to be a double-digit game anyways. I'll allow the 3.5. We'll do it your way.
Okay. I'll take alternate if you want to take it. It's up to you. Are you a vodka, whiskey guy, tequila? I just want to know what I should be searching for.
I'm a whiskey guy.
All right, perfect. You and I are in the same boat. It's a whiskey bet then. Whiskey bet, $40 max.
Right, perfect.
We'll debate that next week. Sonny, let's start right there with Ohio State and Michigan. As you mentioned, the line has moved. Tell us why. Is it a lot of money coming in on Ohio State? Is some things shifted? Give me everything you got for Ohio State, Michigan on that 3.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, we saw it get all the way up to -6.5. Before the game started this week, it got down to 5.5. And then after Michigan looked like how they did against the Terps, after Ohio State beat up on Minnesota last week, like it has come down now to -3. It started the week at -3.5. Now it's down to -3. We're seeing a lot more action on Ohio State, despite Michigan being at home, despite the weather, kind of holding up. We are seeing the action come in on Ohio State, and I think for good reason. Ohio State looks like they're getting hot at the right time. Michigan is without Harbaugh. Michigan has not looked great in the last 2 weeks. Well, I guess against Penn State, they looked good, but J.J. McCarthy specifically went from the Heisman favorite to now not really in the race anymore. I can understand right now why everybody's so high on Ohio State and why Michigan is kind of fallen with laying only 3 points now in this game.
Sonny, we had a debate earlier today and a conversation. Obviously, you're a Michigan fan, but does the Harbaugh suspension, how much does it impact the game for you, or how much is this whole thing impacting the game for you? Because obviously we're on the Ohio State side of it, where I just kind of want to focus more on the game and beyond that. But from the Michigan standpoint, do you get the feel, or even yourself, is this impacting it more for the fact that he won't be there for the game?
Ahead of the suspension, really didn't think it would matter much. It seems like they've all kind of agreed on the game plan to take the ball out of JJ's hands, really trust Blake Corum with the ball, really run the ball down their throats. We have 7 potential picks on that offensive line right now. So it seemed like the game plan going into both the Penn State game and the Maryland game was just run, demoralize that defense. But that being said, the inability we've seen to adjust in game has seemed to matter. So against Maryland, they didn't really change up the strategy at all. We're very scared to go for it on like a 4th and 2, 4th and 3 in Maryland's territory. So I think with Harbaugh, the in-game adjustments come, the ability to take risks comes with Sherrone Moore. I think he's a little bit scared to make that mistake. So we'll see how against Ohio State, if he's able to adjust, if it is a close game going into halftime. I do worry a little bit. I think there is a noticeable coaching drop-off here. And I think we're definitely less willing to take risks going into this game.
Kind of an interesting slate, Sonny, where I know this is usually rivalry weekend, but I don't know, man. There's just not like the juice that I think. So certainly Ohio State, Michigan will carry it. Couple other interesting games. Let's go to Friday night, 8:30.
Oh, sorry, are we done with Ohio State?
Well,
are we done with this game? Do we have any? I have some best bets for you here.
Oh, best bets. I love it. Go, please do. We want everybody for Tipico. What do you like for the game? Yeah, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to let everybody know kind of what the public's on right now. So right now we have 75% of the money coming in on Ohio State money line, which has gotten all the way down to plus 140. 80% of the money is on the spread, even at +3, which is currently minus 101 on Tipico's app. I'm personally staying away from both of those. I like the props a lot more here. Like I said, I fully expect Michigan to be running the ball a lot this game. I think we're going to take the ball out of JJ's hands and really trust Blake Corum and that offensive line, despite the injuries and despite how good Ohio State's defense has looked. So I fully expect Blake Corum to run the ball over 30 times. Right now, his rushing total is set at 84.5 at minus 135 for the over. I love that one. I also like Kyle McCord airing it out. I think we're gonna really test him. We're gonna make sure that the ball is in his hands and not Henderson's hands. So I fully expect Kyle McCord to air it out, and I fully expect them to go to Marvin Harrison Jr. He still has a shot at the Heisman, especially if they have this big win, go undefeated on the season. So right now, Harrison's over-under is at 83.5. I love the over there as well. And throughout the week, Tipico is going to be releasing boosts related to this game. So definitely look out for that. I know we have one for Marvin Harrison Jr. anytime touchdown scorer cooked up, and we'll have a few more leading up to the game. And then also during the game, we'll have live boosts. We're going to have live player props.
Nice.
Definitely going to be very engaged from our odds compiling team here. So make sure you open up the app. Make sure you bet early, bet often, because this is going to be a fun one.
I love the in-game boost, man. That's awesome because it's, we're getting into the boost here on the show. By the way, humble brag, we had our boost hit last night for the Cavs game, so we're off to a good start on our show boost. But that in-game boost, that's awesome. So again, download that Tipico app, use that code BIGPLAY100, and it's perfect. Use that code BIGPLAY100, bet your 25, and then you got bonus bets to play with all weekend going on here with our bets from Sunny. So I'm cooking. I like your little parlay right there. I like that. Quorum over, Harrison over, going to rock that. I'm feeling a McCord interception, too. I don't know why. If he's going to throw it that much, I kind of like the INT there.
It'll be a crisp 30, 33 degrees, but it won't be raining. There shouldn't be really any elements affecting the game. So I don't think either side has much excuses. I think it'll be a nice, hard-fought game here.
Speaking of hard-fought, 8:30 Friday, Oregon State, Oregon. Ducks are favored by 13.5. It is in Eugene. We know Oregon wants to keep pace. Oregon State tried to give Washington everything they could. Your thoughts there, Oregon minus that 13.
Yeah, so it's 13.5 on Tipico's app. I think Oregon is the best team in the Pac-12. Obviously, we have to wait till that championship game between Oregon and Washington to really get the answer there. But look, Oregon State lost a really tough one last week. But this is a rivalry game. This is probably the last time these two teams face each other in the very near future, with Oregon moving over to the Big Ten. So I expect this to be really hard fought to the end. Right now, the public is 64% on Oregon to cover that minus 13.5. I am on the other side. I really like Oregon State. I think it's going to be a really close one. I think Bo Nix versus Ukulele is going to be a really fun matchup here. So, yeah, I like Oregon State to cover.
And then the final one, because, again, like I'd like to look at some of these big games and rivalry weekend and stuff like that. I think Florida State, Florida is just obviously, unfortunately, tanked. Jordan Travis going out, Washington State, all that. But we go to the Iron Bowl. It is Alabama. It is Auburn. 14-point spread. It's at Auburn. Of course, Alabama trying to get back to that SEC championship and see what they can do against Georgia. Do you think Bama rolls there 14.5?
Look, I think we have an awesome chaos scenario here with closing out this college football season. I think Bama has a really interesting case to make the playoff if they can win out. What they need to do is win, and they need to win convincingly. So, look, we're talking about Saban versus Hugh Freeze. We're talking about an Alabama team that comes into the year expecting a title. So we expect them to make a statement here. It can't just be a close win against the rival. They need to really beat up on Auburn and really look like that dominant team that deserves a playoff spot. So, yes, I expect Alabama to cover that minus 14.5. And I'm actually rooting for this chaos scenario where Alabama beats Georgia, where there's the one-loss Big Ten runner-up. There's, we got 8 legit candidates here for 4 spots, so I'm very excited.
Oh, I love making the committee got to work. I'd love to make that committee work, Sonny. And I know the rankings have come out. They did the right thing. I think, unfortunately, Florida State, you don't get to go. I'm sorry. Your quarterback goes down. I know Ohio State had to do that Cardale a couple years ago. It sucks. But I'd love the chaos. I want to make that committee sweat. I'm right there with you. Sonny Gupta.
So you, as an Ohio State guy, don't think that they deserve it?
No. And I'd say the same thing. Like
you saw what Cardale did?
I know, and that's the hard thing. I was trying to do this for Ohio State, but it's different with McCord. Like, if Kyle McCord got hurt, I would still be like, well, we got TreVeyon Henderson and Marvin Harrison. But I would tell you that even if I was an Ohio State fan in an exact same situation as Florida State, I would sure root and want them to make it, but I would completely understand why they wouldn't make it. And that's why we need the 12 teams that we'll get next year, and it won't be a problem. But if I'm that committee, man, I'd be sitting there saying, I don't know how we could put Florida State in here. I really don't know.
All right. What about the scenario with Alabama beating Georgia in the championship game and Texas winning the Pac-12 with one spot between the three of them? Who gets in?
So here's my thing. I just have not been an Alabama believer. Like, we were talking about Jalen Milroe earlier in the show. We were doing comparisons between McCarthy and McCord. And yeah, Milroe, I'm like, oh my God, like his rating is really high, but they were almost benching him at one point. I don't think Alabama deserves to make it. Even if they somehow were to beat Georgia, Georgia should go as just the two-time defending national champions. Wow. Now, I sit here and I tell you that this Georgia team is nowhere near as good as the past Georgia teams. That's why this is so hard. So if the chaos scenario happens, okay, I will take Ohio State or Michigan, whoever, takes care of business there.
Correct.
I will take Georgia. I'm with you. I want Oregon. I want Oregon over Washington. And I think there is a world that they leave Washington on the outside. Because my statement on that would be, if Dan Lanning didn't have his head up his butt, they would have won that game against Washington a month ago at this point. And then if they came back and beat them, that would kind of be my reasoning to take Washington out and put Oregon in. And then, maybe my final spot would go to Alabama. And they'll take Alabama. Like, if it came down to them picking between Alabama and Washington, they're going to take Alabama. Same thing. I don't think Texas, here's my take. It's so much harder to get back into it when you've been out of it for so long. And I know they only have the one loss, but no one has talked Texas. No one has even had the conversation. So they're out of sight, out of mind for me. I don't think they make it either.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even though they beat Alabama, and that would be the SEC champion. That'll be interesting. And then Florida State going undefeated, leaving them out. They've won every game that they can.
I know.
And they beat LSU. That's a tough one.
Well, then
I love this because there's no right answer.
Well,
I love talking about it.
Let me throw you one more there, Sonny. Who would potentially beat Florida State? Louisville, who would only have one loss, and they'd be standing there and go, "Where's our ticket? When are we getting into this thing?" We need the 12. It'll be here sooner rather than later. Sonny Gupta joining us from Tipico. Download the app. Use that code BIGPLAY100 for all your picks. Sonny, to the pro side of things, Browns, Broncos. I saw this at 1 on Tipico. It's now up to 2.5. We know the Browns. They got a backup quarterback. They somehow got to win. I would have to believe that has a lot more to do with the Denver Broncos looking better, getting a win there. They cost me. I knew Denver was going to win that game against Minnesota. They just didn't cover. I know that they're hot right now, 4 straight, and I think that line might reflect that a little bit. Your thoughts on the 2.5 and the streaking here, Denver Broncos?
Yeah, man, my apologies. I was trying to look up right before I logged in here when the last time the Denver Broncos were favored, because it's been a little while. They look great right now, but here's what I'm saying. Right now, Myles Garrett is plus 110 for Defensive Player of the Year. He has looked unstoppable. This feels like the Myles Garrett statement game here. So I think right now, if I'm a bettor, I'm sprinkling a little bit of money on Myles Garrett at plus odds here. This is probably the last time you're going to see it this season. Also, I love the under here. It's the second lowest total of the slate here this week at 34.5, and I still love the under. Does this not feel like a 10-7 game to you?
Right.
I feel like with DTR, with Russell Wilson, I don't trust either of those quarterbacks to put up points. The public is split here on both the spread and the total, right around 50-50 money on both sides. So I'm going to go with my pick, which is the under at 34.5.
To all the Thanksgiving games, you got the Packers-Lions 7.5 for Detroit at home. Cowboys with a Big 12 spread as they welcome in Washington. Seattle playing home to the 49ers. That is a 7-point spread for the 49ers, and I think a lot of big questions on Geno Smith's availability, and that line might move by the time for tomorrow. And then let me throw you the Black Friday game, too. Dolphins-Jets. That is a 10-point road favorite from Miami against Tim O'Boyle rules in that game on Friday. Of the four, any of those that you really like? I mean, Sonny, we got 4 games, 2 double digits, and the other 2 are 7-point spreads here for the holiday week, if you will, before the weekend.
Yeah. So I actually have my lock of the week here, which is going to be the Cowboys minus the 12. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm actually from the DC area. I grew up a Commanders fan. So it hurts me to say this, but
I'm really sorry
I do watch this team week after week. The team has now given up on Ron Rivera. They've given up on Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator. This really feels like one of those statement wins for the Cowboys here. The Cowboys love to beat up on bad teams, and they'll be at home. I fully expect them to beat up on their division rival, the Commanders, this week because the Commanders have given up on the coach. It looks like Ron Rivera will be out after the Miami Dolphins game next week. They have a bye. I fully expect the enemy to take over after that. So look for the Cowboys to really beat up on the Commanders here on Thanksgiving at 4 o'clock.
Yeah. Other games for the weekend, really 2 big ones that we'll keep our eye on. We start with the Bills and the Eagles. This game, I believe, 4 o'clock kick, and then we got a primetime game, Ravens-Chargers. Same thing. A lot of teams are playing, but, Sonny, a lot of big spreads, kind of some dog games out there. It's 3 for the Eagles at home against the Bills, which is a little shocking, and then the Ravens, a 3.5-point road favorite against the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Either one of those games you really like, and a play there, please.
Yeah, look, I was shocked when I saw that 3, right? Like you'd expect the Eagles coming off a huge win against the Chiefs to be laying more points at home against a struggling Bills team. But what I'm reading here is that the odds makers are saying the Bills need this one. The Eagles, they look sloppy at times. Honestly, if the Chiefs didn't turn it over that many times, if they could catch any passes from Mahomes, I think that game looks very different last week. So I like the Eagles so much that I'm going to take the Bills because it doesn't make sense.
It's kind of weird, right? Yeah.
So the public loves the Eagles as well, right? 77% of the money is on the Eagles, laying only 3 points here. I couldn't believe that line when I saw it, but this is a must-win for the Bills, and I think that's what the odds makers are seeing here. So I'm taking the Bills, those 3 points.
Great stuff, Sonny. Enjoy the weekend. Fantastic football. But even we got like Tipico. We're getting our boost going for basketball, the hockey, all the college basketball. It's all there. Download the app. Tipico. Use that code BigPlay100. And then, Sonny, you mentioned with us, which I just love. You guys will have the in-game boosts rolling for the Ohio State-Michigan game. I think that is fantastic. That's really awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to this week. It's feast week as well. Bet college basketball with us as well. This will be a fun sports week. Matt, looking forward to that whiskey next week.
Either way, I might have to either drown my sorrows with whiskey and be sending you some, or I'll be waiting for my reception there of it. Appreciate it, Sonny, and we will talk next week. Maybe are you gonna have a list like ready to go? Or are you gonna be thinking all weekend like, which one am I gonna ask Matt for? Here, all right, before I let you go, do you want it where we ask each other, or $40 limit is still in play and you just randomly send me one, or if you win, I'll just randomly send you one?
I actually am curious. Yeah, randomly send me one.
I like the unknown too. I'm a big fan of the unknown. I love it. All right, Sonny, we'll reconnect next week, man. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving. Have a fantastic weekend, bro.
Thanks, Matt. You too. Have a good one.
There you go, son. Now I'm sitting there like, ooh. What I really wanted from Sonny, which I was trying to Google, you can't ship alcohol to one another. Because what I wanted to do was, when I win, Sonny, I want something from New York. You know what I mean? Like, I can go buy Jack Daniels or Crown. Like, I want something from, like, he's in New York, right? So I want something from that area. That'd be what I like. Because I had ideas. Like, we have local distilleries here. I was going to send him one of those. So we'll get that figured out next week. Ryan, let's get to our picks with Tipico. Giant NFL slate.
Let's go around the league. And my graphic.
Yeah, around the league. Here we go. Let's get started. Thanksgiving slate 3 on the books as the Green Bay Packers taking on the Detroit Lions. You know, there was a time, Ryan, that we were always complaining about, having to watch Detroit play on Thanksgiving. But now they actually deserve it. they actually deserve to make it. So I think it's pretty interesting to see with where we're at. We come into this one, Lions, a 7.5-point favorite. They are home taking on the Green Bay Packers. Of course, the Lions really, I think, righted the ship a little bit, for themselves this past weekend. For the Packers, a shocking win over those Chargers last week. Again, behind the scenes, man, we got to get this Wi-Fi. This Wi-Fi is just absolutely trash right now. I can't get to all my bets, my props, all that kind of stuff I got up. Anyway, all right, let's start here. Green Bay just 2-5 against the spread their last 7 games, but they are only 2-11 against the spread their last 13 games in Detroit, against Detroit. They're only 1-4 straight up in their last 5 games when they are on the road in Detroit, and they have not covered in their last 5 games on the road against the Lions. That is the Packers. You flip it over for Detroit, 16-4 against the spread their last 20 games, and they are 8-2 against the spread their last 10 games at home. I'm riding the Lions here. I think they're running hot here. And eventually, especially to having Thanksgiving, that finally matters. I'll go with Detroit in this one, Ryan.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think the Lions are going to win this game at Ford Field. However, Jordan Love is coming off a rather impressive game, maybe his best game of the season in that victory. I'm going to roll with the Packers here to get a sneaky cover. I love that hook, so I'm going to have them to lose by a touchdown. I'll roll with Green Bay.
Green Bay, actually, public money 66-34 on the side of Detroit. And I'm remiss, last week, a tough week for me, 4-8-1. I am 67-59-5 on the year. Ryan, a solid 7-5-1 last week. You are out to a nice lead, 76-50-5 on the overall season there. So I'm getting dangerously close to falling below 500, a place you certainly do not want to be. 4:30 down there at AT&T Stadium. It is the Washington Commanders making the trip to take on Dallas. You heard it here with Sonny. Before we get to it, I'm just going to ride with Sonny that his lock for the Thanksgiving slate was Dallas minus that 12. Opened at 8.5. It's all the way to 12.5, mostly because actually the public money is split 50-50 on this, which is pretty interesting on that. Get down to our trends. Washington's only 1-4 straight up in their last 5 games, but they are 5-1 against the spread their last 6 road games. The problem, they don't play Dallas well. Washington is only 4-8 against the spread their last 12 games against Dallas. They're only 4-10 straight up in their last 14 games against the Cowboys. They're not winning that game, and I don't think they're going to cover. Dallas 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games, and they are 5-0 against the spread their last 5 games at home. I'm going to ride with Sonny. I will take Dallas in this game. Ryan.
Yeah, not much to think about on this one. I've been saying it all year. Dallas is a completely different team when they're at home at AT&T. So I'm going to roll with Dallas here. Love to beat up on bad teams, and everything Sonny said I completely agree with.
Seattle welcoming in the 49ers on a NFC West battle. This line is doubled. Opened at 3.5. It is now to 7 on the side of San Francisco with 80% of the public money on San Fran. Probably a big question is Geno Smith. So he injures his arm. Drew Lock has to play in that game. That ain't happening. San Francisco recently struggling. 2-5 against the spread their last 7 games on the road, and they are 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games. But how about this? San Francisco is only 2-10 straight up in their last 12 games at Lumen Field. So they don't go up the coast well there to play Seattle. Now, San Francisco is 4-2 against the spread their last 6 games against the Seahawks. Let's flip it over for Seattle. 6-3 straight up in their last 9 games. 6-1 straight up in their last 7 games at home. I'll let you go first here. 7 on San Francisco.
Yeah, I'll take the Niners to cover this one. They seem to be all the way back. Seattle's obviously struggling. Now with that Geno Smith injury, it is at Lumen Field, a notoriously tough place to play, but I expect the Niners to handle the Seahawks.
I will join you on that 49ers, and I will take them minus that 7. Late Thursday night, which, I hate doing this, but you should have had 2 Aaron Rodgers in this game. To sit down, fat on some turkey, fat on some stuffing, pour yourself a nice cocktail. But we get Tim Boyle against Tua Tagovailoa. Bleh. It's at MetLife Stadium. Opened at 2.5. It's all the way to 10 now for the Miami Dolphins. And 75-25 on the side of Miami here to cover this big number. We get down to our trends here. Miami 9-4 against the spread their last 13 games. 5-1 straight up in their last 6 against the Jets, and 8-2 against the spread their last 10 games against New York. But Miami is only 2-8 straight up in their last 10 games on the road. You flip it over for the Jets. Nothing. 4-12 straight up in their last 16 games. I'll take Miami here. It's a big number. I don't like it, but I'll take Miami.
Alrighty, man. I'm actually going to take the Jets on this one. I'm getting a little shades of deja vu. I remember a couple of years ago, a man by the name of Mike White came in to replace a struggling Jets quarterback, and he went and threw for over 400 yards in a victory against the Bengals. So maybe a little Thanksgiving time hop here, man.
I'm mistaken. That's the Friday game. I kept saying Thursday night. No, this is the Friday afternoon Black Friday game. The Dolphins and the Jets there. All right, we get to our Sunday slate. We start 1 o'clock there at Paycor Stadium on the banks of the Ohio River. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. This should be an amazing game. It probably won't be. Pittsburgh is favored by a point after it opened back in the day with Cincinnati -6.5. You don't have Joe Burrow. There is no Matt Canada for this game. This could be a really, really bad football game. 60-40. Public money is on the side of Pittsburgh. At one point, it's basically almost a pick'em game for this. Pittsburgh is 10-4 against the spread their last 14 games. But the thing is, they're not playing Cincinnati all that well. Pittsburgh's 1-4 straight up and 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games against Cincinnati. But Pittsburgh plays well there, at Paycor, Stadium, Paul Brown Stadium, whatever. Pittsburgh is 16-4 straight up in their last 20 games on the road against Cincinnati. Bengals, these are all skewed. 10-2 straight up in their last 12 games at home. 4-2 against the spread their last 6 games. I think this is the Pittsburgh Steelers all day long. I think Cincinnati's going to start packing it in here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if Cincinnati can really muster much on offense here. Maybe with Matt Canada gone, it opens up the playbook a little bit more for Kenny Pickett to kind of prove he's their guy. I'll roll with the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one.
All right, AFC-NFC matchup here. Tampa Bay going up to Lucas Oil Stadium to take on the Colts. The Buccaneers at 4-6. I think they're floundering just a little bit. I thought there was a point that they might try to stay in this for the AFC South. They're not quite there. Coming in, Tampa Bay has lost 5 out of their last 6. They tried to keep it together against San Francisco, and they couldn't do it. For Indianapolis, they're on a little 2-game win streak. Now, the thing is, they beat New England and Carolina. I don't know if I quite buy the Colts in this one. Open at 1.5 for the Colts. It's now 2.5 on the side of the Indianapolis Colts. 60-40 public money is on the side of Indy for this one. Let's jump to the trends. Tampa Bay is 4-1 against the spread their last 5 games, but they don't play the Colts well. Tampa Bay is only 1-5-1 against the spread their last 7 games against Indy, but Tampa a bit of a road warrior here, 5-0 against the spread their last 5 games on the road. Indianapolis 6-3 against the spread their last 9 games, but they're only 1-9 straight up in their last 10 games at home. I'm going to take the Buccaneers here. I'm going to take them plus that too. I think they win that game outright.
Yeah, Matt, I'm going to ride with you with Baker and the Bucs as well. Indianapolis, pretty impressive, still vying in there for the wild card. Not sure how. But Indianapolis does put up points, believe it or not, with Gardner Minshew there. So it's going to be tough. Baker's going to have to put up points, but I'll take the Road Warriors there.
Now, we pick every game, but if I had to stay away from a game, I think this would be the one. 1 o'clock, Mercedes-Benz Superdome, Falcons, Saints. You gave me the nod. This is a game to stay away from, in my opinion. Saints are 5-5, coming off their bye. They don't have Derek Carr. And then the Falcons are 4-6, and they're going back to Desmond Ridder. This was a pick'em game. It still is a pick'em game. This is even or a half-point pick between the Saints and the Falcons. 68% of public money is on the Atlanta Falcons in this game. We start with our trends here. I'll start with New Orleans. Saints are only 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games. But how about this? New Orleans has won their last 5 games when they take on Atlanta. New Orleans 6-1 straight up in their last 7 games in Atlanta. and they are 5-0 straight up their last 5 games. When they say playing on the road. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I'm sorry. This is at Atlanta. That's why my trend is skewed. I'm sorry. It's at Atlanta. I apologize. So the Saints are 5-0 their last 5 games when they're on the road against Atlanta. So there you go. Falcons are an abysmal 1-8 against the spread their last 9 games. They're only 1-5 against the spread their last 5 home games. And I mentioned New Orleans has owned them there. I take the Saints to win the South. If they're going to do that, they got to win this game with Jameis and crew. Give me the Saints.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Saints as well. Falcons, they're getting real close to packing it in. Although he's my Bearcat guy, not much to believe in there with Desmond Ridder in that offense, so I'll roll with the Saints.
Fresh off 4 touchdowns for Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville at 7-3, taking on the Houston Texans at 6-4. What a game this could be for the AFC South down there in Houston. Home game there for the Texans. This line open as a pick'em. It's now to 1.5 on the side of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let me get you the public money on this one quickly. About 60-40 on the side of Houston, which I kind of get. People are on the upstart here with the Jags on the C.J. Stroud side of things. But Jacksonville scorching. 6-1 against the spread their last 7 games. They're also 6-1 straight up in their last 7. They're also 8-0 against the spread their last 8 road games. Now, here's the crazy thing. They don't cover nor beat the Houston Texans. Jacksonville is 1-4 against the spread their last 5 games against Houston. Can you believe, Ryan, that they are 1-10 straight up in their last 11 games against Houston? Jacksonville does not play the Houston Texans well. Now, you flip it over for the Texans, 4-1 straight up in their last 5 games, but at home, they're only 5-14-1 straight up in their last 20 games at home. I'll let you go first here. Jacksonville road 1.5 favorite at Houston.
Yeah, I'm going to actually roll with, oh man, this is tough. But I'm going to roll with Houston in this one. They did beat Jacksonville in their place earlier this year, which was a surprise. I'm kind of on this C.J. Stroud into the MVP conversation narrative. I think it's good for the NFL. And this is going to be a really good game and a statement game for both of these teams. But I'm going to just roll with Texans in this one.
You know me and Trevor Lawrence, man. Jacksonville, I don't like it. It's not that I wish this, but I think there's got to be a letdown coming from Houston, right? They can't keep this rolling. Lock right there, Houston. Go ahead and bet them on Tipico. You'll thank me for that later. Just atrocious game. Carolina, Tennessee. Tennessee 3-7. Carolina's absolute trash. Tennessee open as a 4.5-point favorite. It's down to 3.5. 60-40 public money on the side of Tennessee. Do you even want trends for this game, Ryan? This is just a dog crap game.
Might as well.
Carolina's 2-6 against the spread their last 8. They've lost their last 5 games on the road. For the Titans, 1-5 against the spread their last 6 games. 1-5 straight up in their last 6. Just an absolute piece of crap game. I'll go Carolina to try to save Frank Reich's job there.
Yeah, I'll roll with the Panthers. Not confident at all, but I really don't have much to say about it.
No, I mean, that is just a dog crap game. This one is too. Patriots, MetLife Stadium take on the Giants. These teams are combined 5-16. 5-16 between the Patriots and the Giants. This line open as a 3. It is, 4.5. It's down to 3. The Patriots are favored on the road here, taking on Tom DeVito and the crew. New England 1-6 against the spread their last 7 games. But here's the crazy thing. New England is only 1-5 against the spread their last 6 games against the Giants, but they're 6-3 straight up. And I know that kind of goes back to some Tom Brady, Eli Manning type stuff there. New England is 1-4 straight up in their last 5 games on the road against the Giants. Giants 2-7 straight up in their last 9, 3-8-1 against the spread their last 12. And as I mentioned, they don't particularly play well against the Patriots at home. 60-40 public money on the side of the Giants. You want to go here first, Ryan? 3 for the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Giants. They're coming off an impressive win in their standards, putting up over 30 points. Tommy DeVito looked good. I don't expect that to really translate to the next game. However, it's not very difficult these days to outplay Mac Jones and the Patriots, so I'll take the home team in this one.
I'll take New England. I don't trust it's strictly I don't trust the Giants to cover. I trusted them. Here's the thing. When I picked the Giants last week over the Commanders, it's because I didn't trust the Commanders to cover. I don't trust the Giants to cover in this one, so I'll take New England. Rams taking on the Cardinals. This game is at State Farm Stadium for Arizona. They're 2-9. Kyler Murray's back, though. The Rams are 4-6. For Arizona, tough loss to Houston, a game that maybe they should have won, and a big upstart win there for the Rams as they took out Seattle. But the Rams are still only 1-5 against the spread their last 6 games, but they own Arizona. The Rams are 4-1 straight up in their last 5 games against the Cards and 2-12 straight up in their last 14 games against the Cardinals. The problem is the Rams are only 2-10 straight up in their last 8 games on the road. You want a stat for this one, Ryan? Last 8 games that the Rams have played Arizona in Arizona, the Rams have won. They are 8-0 in their last 8 games on the road against Arizona. For the Cardinals, 2-16 straight up in their last 18 games. They're not great. I mentioned they don't play the Rams well at home. I think my biggest thing is Matt Stafford. I know he's probable to play, but he's banged up. I don't know if Cooper Kupp is going to play in this game. This is a shocker. It's a pick'em game, and I will take Arizona in this game. Right.
Yeah, Matt, I'm going to take Arizona as well. Not confident at all, but Cooper Kupp banged up. Puka Nacua questionable. Stafford, who knows what kind of version we're going to get of him. They've had a lot of struggles. So I'll just roll with Arizona and think Kyler Murray's going to come back and do a little bit of damage.
60-40 public money on the side of the Arizona Cardinals. On a slate that's pretty bad, this is a decent game at 425 at the Lincoln Financial Field. The 9-1 Philadelphia Eagles welcoming in the 6-5 Buffalo Bills. This line is held steady at 3. Public money for this game has it 60. We got a lot of 60-40s on this. 60-40 on the side of the Buffalo Bills, which I think is interesting. Of course, Philly, big win over KC rolling. And for Buffalo, they beat the hell out of the Jets last week to maybe right the ship. Buffalo still is only 1-6 against the spread their last 7 games. But how about this against Philly? Buffalo is 6-3 against the spread their last 9 games against the Eagles, but they're only 1-4 straight up in their last 5. Buffalo is 4-2 against the spread their last 6 games on the road against Philadelphia. Flip it over for the Eagles, 4-1-1 against the spread their last 6 games, and they are 7-1 straight up in their last 8 games at home. It's 3 or 3.5 for the Eagles at home against the Bills. I keep selling the Eagles short. And I'm going to learn from my mistakes, and I'm going to take Philly in this one. I always sell them short. I'll take Philly in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take Philly as well. And this is a winnable game for the Bills, coming off a giant win. If Josh Allen doesn't beat himself, the Bills can definitely come out on top. But as it stands right now, the pattern has been he can't not turn the ball over at least once a game, and that does not bode well against a team that you're going to need every opportunity to win. So I'll just take the hottest team in football right now, and that's the Eagles.
Kansas City maybe scuffling a little bit. Come out of the bye. They lose last week, of course, in a thrilling game to the Eagles. But those questions on that second half, wide receivers all of a sudden becoming an issue. They travel to Allegiant Stadium to take on the Raiders. 425 kick. Line open at 8.5. It is up to 9 for Kansas City on the road in this one. A giant 75-25 split on the public money on the side of Kansas City. KC 8-4 against the spread their last 12 games, and they own the Raiders. 6-3 against the spread their last 9 games against Vegas. 5-0 straight up in their last 5 games against Vegas, and Kansas City is 7-1 straight up in their last 7 games on the road. KC has won their last 5 games, by the way, on the road against the Raiders. You flip it over for Vegas. We know turn things around with Antonio Pierce, 5-2 against the spread their last 7 games. Oh man, I think I have to go with. This one's so hard. I want to say Raiders. Because I don't trust the Chiefs to, fix a lot of their issues. Do you want to know what is drilling in my head, though? Last couple of weeks for the Chiefs. Germany game, which is weird, and the rain that there was coming down there against Philly. This is in a dome. This should be everything for the Chiefs. stinky pick of the week, Kansas City. I don't like it.
Well, I'm going with Kansas City as well. It's going to be a really, really big test at home for the new Antonio Pierce-led team. The Raiders certainly look better than they have when they were under Josh McDaniel, but I think Kansas City is going to come off a little pissed after that loss, especially when you look at the way that game ended. They really should have won it. So I expect them to bounce back and beat up on an inferior division opponent.
All right, final one for us. We'll make our picks on Monday Night Football. But Sunday night, the Ravens with the long haul out to L.A. They had the mini bye after beating the Bengals on Thursday night. I think that all factors in. But we're 8:20 Sunday night, SoFi Stadium. The Ravens now in the driver's seat in the AFC at 8-3, taking on the hapless LA Chargers at 4-6. This is a 3.5-point spread. It has stayed that way all throughout. Public money on this game, 60-40 on the side of the Chargers to cover. We know for the Ravens, they're going to be without Mark Andrews. They're battling through some injuries. We'll see. Baltimore 9-4 against the spread. Their last 13 games, 5-1 straight up in their last 6. And when they take on the Chargers, they kind of got them. Baltimore 8-4 straight up in their last 12 games against the Chargers, and they are 4-2 against the spread. Their last 6 games were when they're on the road taking on the Chargers. Nothing really going good for LA. They're only 2-4 against the spread. Their last 6 games, as I mentioned, 2-4 straight up in their last 6 games when they take on Baltimore at home. It's 3.5 for the Ravens. You know I always pick the Chargers, man. And I always feel like a dumbass for doing it. Will I be a dumbass again? Yeah, I will.
Well, Matt, some things never change. I'm going to go with the Ravens. Chargers are stinky right now. They got a lot to figure out. Brandon Staley, one of the hottest seats in the NFL.
Bosa's out.
Ravens are looking to win that AFC North. Run away with it.
Can I change my pick? Will you allow me to change my pick?
I'll let you do whatever you want,
Baltimore.
Matt. All right.
I'll take Baltimore. There's our picks. Download the Tipico app. Use that code BIGPLAY100. Get your bonus bets when you deposit and bet $25. You get $100 in bonus bets to bet with us. Oh, I'm telling you, folks, this is the weekend to get that code in if you haven't. The boost, the show boost, which we will send in. I wanted to see if you and I were going to be the same on our picks. We differed. Do you want to do our Tipico boost right now?
Yeah.
Do you want to do it? Okay, so you and I differ on the Packers and the Lions. We both like Dallas. We both like San Francisco. Do you want to just do an over-under on the Detroit game?
Yeah, what's
Green
that
Bay,
right
because
now?
we split.
What's it at right now?
Get it for you real quick. So then I want to get I want to get you some. I want to get us some trends, so that way we can make a good pick here. NFL. Okay. Sorry, I'm back in the Tipico app. NFL. All right, Packers Lions is over under at 47.5. And of course I just closed out of my thing because I want to try to get you. You know what I mean? Like I've got trends for over under. Okay, here it is. Green Bay, Detroit. Over under is 47.5. I think we need to lean the under in that game. Okay, so under has hit in Green Bay's 5 out of their last 6 games. For Detroit, the over has hit in 5 of their last 7. So we go back and forth on that. I don't know. What do you want to do?
I think it'd be fun to root for some points on a Thanksgiving game.
All right, so let's go over 47. Please send this to Tipico as our boost for Thanksgiving. Over Packers Lions 47. Cowboys minus the 12. 49ers minus 7. We'll send that over. That's going to be our show boost on Tipico. Get signed up. Again, big play 100. Deposit and bet 25, and you get $100 to bet all weekend with us on football. That is sent. That'll be rocking up on the Tipico app. Bet there, and we got it all for you coming up right here. All right, let's catch our final break of the morning. When we come back, got a lot more to get to. Wrap it up. Get ready for the weekend of football and the Cavs. Right back in action tonight, are they not? We got a little Cavs wager. Do you want to do a Cavs boost tonight?
Why not, man?
We're hot. We're hot. We got the Cavs and the Heat tonight back at home, 2.5. We'll get you another boost next. Stay with us. All right, wrapping things up here on our Thanksgiving week. Reminder, we're not going to have a show tomorrow. And I think, are we replaying this show on Friday, Ryan? We are. So if you're listening on Friday, this has been the fun thing. I always love doing that. You know our Thanksgiving picks now. And you're going to know our Cavs pick because we're going to make it for Wednesday night. So we'll replay it on Friday, and then we'll talk to everybody on Monday. So whenever you're catching us, first off, we are thankful for you out there for joining us each and every day or whenever you do. Hopefully you have a fantastic Thanksgiving and a fantastic weekend. Cavs are right back in action tonight, Ryan, as they welcome in the Miami Heat to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Kevin Love not going to play in this game, by the way. He's out for personal reasons. Do we have anything on Donovan Mitchell? Is he going to play in this game tonight?
I have not seen an update.
I'm not either. So it's 2.5 on the side of the Cavs. I'm sorry, now Miami. And the over-under is 210. I kind of like the under, just the Cavs are probably going to be tired back-to-back, and I think Miami, when did they play last night too? No, they played 2 days ago against Chicago. Here's the reason I like the under. Under's gone at 5 out of the last 7 games against Miami and 9 of the last 11 games at home for the Cavs. For Miami, under has hit 13 out of Miami's last 20 games. So 210 is really low. But I think I might take the under tonight. I want to bet the Cavs, but I think it's a little emotional letdown after yesterday. What do you think? Should I just take the Cavs on the money line? They're plus 115.
Yeah, we parlay it.
Parlay it? All right, I like it. Get your bets in there with Tipico. Use that code BIGPLAY150. All right, this weekend is so jacked up, man. I am so ready for Saturday to get to this Ohio State game, this Ohio State matchup against Michigan. And our Twitter question this morning was, we asked everybody, do you think the suspension and the Harbaugh stuff has impacted the game for you as a fan? And I'm going to actually vote no. I'm going to say no. As much as I've tried to avoid it, Ryan, I want to keep it that way. I'm going to try to keep it just on the game for Sunday. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I'll agree. And it definitely stakes are a lot higher for you and other Ohio State fans. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, it's not going to go away. And you know damn well if the Buckeyes win, which I do think they will, you're going to be hearing the noise about Sharon Moore, him taking over for Harbaugh. And like Sonny said, I thought he had great analysis about Michigan potentially being less risky and a guy like Moore, an interim coach, maybe being scared to make that gutsy call that Harbaugh would that would lead the Wolverines over the Buckeyes. I thought that was a really interesting point of view.
So we get to Sunday, too, for the Browns and the Broncos, a big test with this road trip that they're going to go on, go out there and play Denver. I mean, we don't make our Browns selections on here just for bad juju reasons. We don't want to put that on the team. But I think this is going to be a really close game. I from what Sonny said, and I agree, take the under. Slam the under for that game because I like the under points on that. You got 2 pretty good defenses going on there on Sunday. Same thing, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a little bit of game management, a little bit of, you're going to add more to his plate, without a doubt. You're going to add more to his plate as it goes. But it's still like, if you split this trip, which I think it's becoming more likely that it might be the Rams game that you win, all I'm asking is that you split this trip. I think it's a good time for the team to get away, a little bit of team building and all that kind of stuff. But Brian, I expect it to be a very close game on Sunday, and I do think it is going to be a low-scoring game as well. Really, my biggest questions for it, are we going to get DeJuan Jones back for this game? Time will tell today, tomorrow, and on Friday for the Browns if he's going to be able to play. I certainly hope he will. And that's it. I think relative, you know who you're going to need on this game on Sunday. You know who's going to be able to play and not outside of DeJuan Jones. And I think the Browns have a real shot to keep it close there against Denver. I do.
Yeah, and this is a really, really good test for this Browns team, right? You're going into Mile High, a notoriously difficult place to play. A defense that has been pretty solid, maybe not as good as some of the position groups that the Steelers had, but it's another game where DTR has a start under his belt, and now you're going into really this West Coast stretch that we did the math. You don't have to, but you really want to get one out of these 2 against the Broncos and Rams. So it'll be a really good test, and I'm confident. And it's just another week with the same formula. Don't turn the ball over. It's going to be a game won by your defense, and it's going to come down to the wire whether we like it or not.
I agree, and that's the tough thing. You're going to be in these type of games for the rest of the season. Tooth and nail, fight and claw on your way to get it done. But, dude, I'm just so happy we are here. I know Wednesday, everybody be safe. If you're listening on Friday, hopefully be safe on Wednesday night. But what a slate that we have. And now, Ryan, for the first time in Ohio's history, illegal betting on a Thanksgiving slate there. I love it. It's going to be great. Use our friends at Tipico. Use that code BIGPLAY150 when you get signed up and enjoy the hell out of it. Thanksgiving is meant for family and friends. Spend it with them. Be around your loved ones. Enjoy the weekend. I do also know that a lot of people got to work. So shout out to all you service industry people out there, all the police and EMTs and the people at the hospitals that are going to be working for people that roast their turkey when they weren't supposed to, and it's not thawed when they throw it in the deep fryer. Be safe on that. But to everybody that also has to work this weekend and out there being unsafe, or just even again in the service industry on what's supposed to be the busiest bar night of the year, be safe out there, respect your servers, all that kind of stuff, and enjoy the hell out of the long weekend. Chico's coming up 12 to 2. Don't miss that. Of course, get it on Big Play. All of our shows are there. We've had a fantastic week. We appreciate all of you out there listening and watching. And don't forget, again, Chico coming up to 12 to 2. Enjoy the stuffing, enjoy the turkey, enjoy the mashed potatoes, and all the sports over the next 5 days. And we'll talk to you on Monday. For Ryan Tyler, I am Matt Fontan. It's always a little sweeter when that long weekend hits. Take it easy.